Outlaws. We're not going to have Business Whisper this week. I had a prior engagement and I cannot bring the safe house and all our technology with me so we can go live. But next Tuesday we'll be live at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. But the good news is you can call the number, the 8337-WHISPER, at any time, leave your business question, and we'll make sure that you make it on the show next week. I'm here actually in Cincinnati at the Weiler Museum. Look at these beautiful cars. Great group here, great company, very fun. Having a great day. I'm sorry we're going to miss you today, but there'll be plenty next Tuesday, and you can kind of follow along on some of the past calls that you might have missed and see how I answer some of the business questions. Remember, business is war, and you need to keep your eyes peeled. The best defense is offense. Attack, attack, attack. So I'll see you next week, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Until then, have a great week and a great weekend. Damien, how are you?
Life is good. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
I'm amazing. Thank you. So tell me your business and then what your big problem is.
Well, I started my business about 5 years back at the video production house. I'm a documentary filmmaker, make ads, corporate videos, or basically anything, not nonprofit stuff. But in this last year, I also started another company in a similar field where I took control of a big building, brought in some other video production houses, and I also have control of a TV station. We're doing a podcast studio. And anyway, the one was very successful by itself. I was kind of running it out of my home. I had a third floor that I was using. It was fine. I was making money. And now this other venture is bigger. It will pay more dividends, but it's costing me a lot as well. Like I'm working 20 hours a week. And, I'm having problems balancing my work and my home life. They say happy wife, happy life, but my wife isn't very happy usually lately. And I have a 3.5-year-old daughter that I feel like I'm missing out on. And it's just trying to find that balance. And so right now I'm kind of, I just got killed in taxes yesterday because it was on the deadline. And so I'm just wondering, is this all worth it? And when does this end? How long do I have to put in this much time?
Good, great question. So let me start by finding out a little more information before I kind of tell you my opinion. So at what age did you realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? How old were you? And let me ask that maybe a different way. At what age did you realize you were different?
Probably around 8 or 9 years old.
Okay, and so at 8 or 9, you realized that you weren't like everybody else. And you probably didn't like authority too much? You didn't like being told what to do?
Nope, not at all. Not very good with bosses.
Okay. So is in this conversation that we're going to have today, is it an option that you go work a 9-to-5 job?
Absolutely not. It's not even an option.
Okay.
It's either.
Then please take me back to the famous entrepreneur billionaire that said, happy wife, happy life. Who's the famous billionaire entrepreneur that said that?
I don't know. I don't know who said it, but I'm guessing who it might be.
It was a broke-ass, barely 10,000-aire that said that. You've never heard Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos or Mark Cuban. Who says that? Have you ever heard anybody on Shark Tank say happy wife, happy life?
No, I have not heard anybody say that.
Did you hear Michael Jordan say that? Have you ever heard a high-performing individual in business or sports or art or anything that said happy wife, happy life?
I have not.
You know why?
That's a good point.
Because they all have good divorce attorneys. They've all been married a bunch of times. Michael Jordan's been married. Those two just don't line up. It doesn't work that way.
I know.
And everybody wants to tell you that it does. And everybody loves to tell the little dog whistle that you can have it all. But nobody understands the price you have to pay as an entrepreneur. So I'll tell you a story. So there was this billionaire from Texas, and he actually used to own the Houston Rockets, and he owns a bunch of car dealerships. And he's a little Ross Perot guy. So if I go into a Ross Perot voice in this, you'll understand why. Because he's a little guy. He's like 4'5" or something, little tiny guy. But he hires me because he bought a dealership in Las Vegas, and he'd owned a dealership in California, a Lexus dealership, and he'd lost money on it. He lost like 10 million. And he was going into the Las Vegas market, and somebody had said, hey, you should get this Chris Collins guy. He can kind of tell you the lay of the land. And so I fly out there and I spend the day with him, and he's a billionaire. So, I probably would have done it for free just to pick his brain because he's a billionaire and he owned a basketball team, and I don't own a basketball team. So I'm sitting there with him, and I'm asking him those questions in downtime in between phone calls and business stuff. And I said, so you're married? And he goes, oh yeah, I'm married. And I said, how many hours a week do you work? And he goes, I work about 6 days. Sundays I'll work a half day, so it's 6.5 days. And I go, how many days a month are you on the road? Are you traveling? And he said, oh, probably about half, about 14, 15 days a month I'm on the road. I go, does your wife go with you? And he goes, no. And then I said, I go, well, does your wife give you a hard time about that? And just like Ross Perot, he sits up and goes, no, I trained her. And I go, what do you mean you trained her? And he goes, I trained her from day one. That's who I am. That's what I am. I work. And so the hardest part is going into changing midstream in a relationship, getting married and thinking you're going to have work-life balance and not having a common goal with your wife. And not what he means by training her in his Texas way isn't that it was take it or leave it. It's like, I am who I am. That's me. That's who I was when you started dating me. That's who I am. And now you got to understand that our goals need to be the same. You need to sit down with your wife and you need to get clear what your goals are. But at the end of that conversation, you need to end it with what price we're going to pay to get those goals. How bad do we want those goals? How bad do we want our kids to go to a big college? How bad do we want that house? Because if we, your significant other needs to understand that there's a price to pay for those things. There isn't just a tree we go out to and pick off our kids going to Harvard. You got to pay, somebody's got to pay for that, right? And so,
sure, right? I don't have both.
The mistake that we make is that we're not on the same page as our spouse, not that we're going to have work-life balance. We need to be on the same page as, honey, I have some goals and I really want to do this and this and accomplish this, but this is going to be the price that I'm going to have to pay to do that. And let's just write in some contingencies that shit's going to go wrong. No matter what we draw out today as our goals, times whatever problems we think we're going to have by 2, because right when we think we got it figured out, we're going to run out of money. Right when we figure that things are going good, somebody's going to quit on us, or we're going to get something stolen, or everything's going to get stolen. We just did a podcast on Business Outlaws with a friend of ours, Eric, and he was talking about how he had everything stolen at one point out of his car. Like, he had just got back from a 6-month trip, all of his hard drives, everything in his car stolen, and he lost 6 months worth of work. That's what's going to happen. That's the life of an entrepreneur. There's no guarantees. Mm-hmm. And so what I would say, and my advice about work-life balance, is sit down with your wife and say, honey, this is who I am and this is where I want to go. But I can only do that with you. And we're a power couple and we're stronger together than we are apart. But I can't go into work every day feeling guilty that I'm paying a price and I'm neglecting you. And what we need to do is, as a team, as a power couple, we need to get on the same page. And I need you to endorse that I'm going to pay a price here because things are hard. And I maybe stepped out a little bit more than I should have. And I'm in some things I'm going to have to dig in. And then even when I think that I'm done digging in, I'm probably going to have to double down again, because that's just how life is when you're an entrepreneur. Is when you think it's going right, boom, something slaps you and you got to double down again. But I love the game, honey. I love the fight. That's what I live for. But I need us to be on the same page, and I need you to either support me in that. And if you tell me I got to go get a 9-to-5 job, I'm going to go date that hot chick from the gym. No, I'm joking with that part. But do you understand what I'm saying? Really. You gotta get.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. Amen, my brother. Man, you are on fire. I mean, thank you. Like, it's the first time I feel normal for a few moments here. So I appreciate that.
No, I know if you're calling into this show that you were like me, you felt different. You were different. You didn't like authority. You wanted to create things. You wanted to make a difference. You woke up. You wanted things that got you excited to get up. You didn't want to have to get up because of an alarm clock and a boss, right?
Yep.
And
yep,
so
exactly.
so how is your wife going to take that conversation?
I mean, we have these conversations, and it's my second wife, but yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, it's hard. Some days it's okay, and she's there, like she's that teammate with me, and she's in it to win it with me. But then other days it's not that. I mean, it's the opposite. It's, I can't do this anymore. The divorce is threatened, and those kinds of things. I think about not seeing my daughter. I love getting up and seeing her, and getting her up, going, and then and I come home for dinner every night. And then even if I go back, sometimes I'm on 2 hours of sleep for the last 6 days. You know what I mean? So it's in a row almost. So they're trying to build this thing. I know that it's going to pay dividends. And once it's going, then we'll see what happens. But I think that you can't have both all the time. You can't have me, and you can't have all the things that we want.
No, and it's very narcissistic. And we just did an episode of Business Outlaws about this, and I've had more guys write me about how much that episode touched them, but it's very narcissistic of a wife or a husband, for that matter, to marry somebody and accept them as an entrepreneur and then gaslamp them and change once they're married down the road. You have to accept who somebody is and what the price they're going to pay, and you can't change them. You have to accept them for who they are. That a good relationship is one where you accept the other person unconditionally and you ride or die for who they are, and you're trying to make them better. And you have to do your part in that too, right? You can't be out cheating. You can't be out doing things with other girls. You can't get caught texting hot chicks and like sexting and all that. You have to do your part. But on the other end, like if you're loyal and true blue, we need ride or die. Being an entrepreneur is really hard, and you need your partner in crime. And I have found when I do marriage counseling like this, that when I explain it like that and I explain the narcissism, and they kind of like, it's kind of a little bit of a wake up call, and they're like, yeah, you know what, I am doing that to him, and it kind of gets things to an even playing field. But you have to do your part too, but that would be my suggestion. Then the second question, I wrote a note. You said taxes. Have you figured out how we can get around taxes? Because I'm listening.
No, because I just got murdered.
We're getting screwed in California.
The extension.
I don't care what you think about Trump. I'm mad at him just for that.
I mean, at least I could have got a discount on my taxes. I mean, I guess not unless you have 500 million or more, but. I just had a really rough week, and then that was the icing on the cake. It was way worse than I thought. And learning lessons. This is a little bit, I skipped maybe a step or two as I jumped ahead into this venture. But there's so many positives. I'm not even shook about it that much. It's like it takes a lot to freak me out at least this point in time. Like, I mean, every day it's I need a miracle. Excuse my language.
Well, that's all of us. You're not alone in that. I have a couple people I can recommend for taxes. I know that in my grand strategy for taxes, we just opened up a company in Canada, and we don't get double taxed, but the taxation rate is cheaper in Canada than it is here in California. I know we're looking at opening up in a different state also, but you have to go live in that state half of the time, which isn't that appealing to me.
What about? I heard good things about Rhode Island. Rhode Island have some lax laws.
Well, it's Florida, Texas, Vegas, and Washington are the ones on the list that I was given. So,
Vegas
is zero income tax.
In Rhode Island.
I think that's more for.
Vegas is zero.
I think Rhode Island, the taxes are fair, but it's like Florida where there's more corporate protections. Like you can't pierce the corporate veil in Florida or Rhode Island, I think.
Right on. I'm not that big yet. Well, man, I want to thank you so much for your time. That really lifted me. This is a great service, a great show. I really appreciate it, and I'll keep listening.
Thanks, Damien. Thank you so much. And call me back and let me know how that goes. I hope that
I will.
You can figure out a way to have that conversation in a way that she pulls in tighter and becomes your partner in crime, because you need a partner in crime.
Yep. And I'm just going to try and empower her to do that.
Okay. Thanks, bro.
Take care. See ya.